This is Nader Khalili's Racing Alone, a visionary architect's quest for houses made with earth and fire. Let's just read the book jacket, why not? This clay, this rich earth, so abundant all over the world, under our feet, holds a beautiful dream in it. I think to myself, a beautiful dream that only I can see. Nader Khalili. Nader Khalili's dream, now becoming a reality, is to create a low-cost, energy-saving form of housing without the use of modern technology. Racing Alone tells us the story of how an Iranian-born, Western-trained architect, armed only with notebooks, a motorcycle, and his own unique vision, set off on a 5-year odyssey through the poor desert villages of his native Iran in search of a simple, inexpensive, yet permanent form of dwelling, and his ultimate triumph in discovering the untouched magic of clay. Racing Alone begins as one man's dream and ends with a village of ceramic houses, an exhibition in Paris, and lectures to schools of architecture all over the world. It signals a revolution in modern architecture, set off dramatically in the narrative against the tumultuous background of a social revolution in Iran. Here is a detailed account of how, beginning with a form of construction as old as civilization itself, buildings created from the clay of the earth, Khalili developed the idea of setting a great fire within the adobe shell, transforming the structure itself into an enormous kiln, and baking it until it becomes a giant hollow brick. The result is a house impervious to fire, flood, and earthquake, as permanent as rock itself. To this concept, Khalili added the artist's notion of coating the walls with a ceramic glaze and refiring to create interiors with the delicate beauty of a finely wrought urn. Throughout this double masterstroke, he achieved the true integration of ceramic art into architecture. Khalili's story is a poetic and deeply moving account of personal discovery and artistic achievement. In simple yet compelling prose, he reveals that solutions to complex problems of the present day may often be found through the use of ancient methods and the materials right at hand. Racing Alone is a fascinating chronicle of the creative process and a striking manifesto from one of the world's most visionary architects and artists. It is Khalili's challenge to the rest of mankind to join him in his quest. Quote, now the time has come to create a new scale in the ceramic world, to walk out from the womb of a pot to the space of a room. Now the time has come to create a ceramic glaze, a china, a stoneware, not in the scale of our hands, but in the scale of our lives. Nader Khalili, an architect, is instructor of design at the Southern California Institute of Architecture and visiting professor of art at Pitzer College in Claremont, California. Born in Tehran, Iran, Khalili has studied architecture in Iran, Turkey, and the United States, and has been a member of the American Institute of Architects since 1970. Exhibits of his work have appeared in many countries, most recently as at the prestigious Des Architectures des Terres exhibit at the Centre Georges Pompidou, oh wow, I butchered that, in Paris. Contributor to numerous professional architecture journals, he has lectured throughout the world on his revolutionary new methods of construction. Khalili has also designed and developed a system called SARDA, by which the architecture of the traditional ice reserve is adapted to utilize the potential energy of the ice for cooling systems. At present, Khalili is conducting lectures and workshops for Native Americans of the Southwest, as well as acting as a consultant to establish an architectural curriculum at the Institute of American Indian Arts in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And he has since passed, but he has his family carries on this practice under the name Cal Earth out of California, I think in Hesperia. Racing Alone, a visionary architect's quest for houses made with earth and fire. to my father and to the spirit of my mother. Introduction. Midway in my life, I stopped racing with others. I picked up my dreams and started a gentle walk. My dreams were of a simple house built with human hands out of the simple materials of this world, the elements, earth, water, air, and fire. To build a house out of earth, then fire and bake it in place, fuse it like a giant hollow rock. The house becoming a kiln, or the kiln becoming a house. Then to glaze this house with fire to the beauty of a ceramic glazed vessel. I touched my dreams in reality by racing and competing with no one but myself. Horses don't race on their own. We make them race. They simply gallop to the speed of the wind when free and exalted. Bees don't compete, yet they all get to taste the flower, and they produce nothing less than sweet honey. Wings don't run a contest to elevate a bird to the heights. Neither does a flock of birds, and yet they all achieve the sky. We too are created, not as masses to race, but as individuals to live and transcend. There is an endless reserve of strength in every human to reach his goal, if only this strength is spent in achieving rather than racing and competing. I was born and raised in the Eastern world and lived and worked in the West. I have had a chance to feel the sweet and bitter taste of the contrasting cultures. During the 5 years of racing alone, following my dreams and aspirations, and writing this book, I discovered that the joy of discovering and the ecstasy of creating brought with them a greater sense of achievement than any success I had gained before my racing and competing. My potential for coping with the struggle and agonies surpassed any limits known to me before. My quests became more meaningful when my goals met with others' needs and goals, and I became important in my own heart only when I reached the others, as a drop of water becomes important only when it reaches the sea. I also saw that there is a greater message in the air than what the wavelengths bring us, a greater power in the water than the floods, a greater wealth in the earth than diamonds, and a greater sense to the fire than what we touch. And if we could see what magic lies in the fire alone, this age could once again become the age of fire.